Hey guys, I just wanted to make a short video with some tips and tricks about sewing and stitching around your album pages or your photo mats. I've been doing it for a few years now, so it's just a few little things that I've learned over time that to me make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to use my little skewer here to point at things. We have our presser foot, and on this presser foot I have this center break here. Now on my sewing machine, which I believe a lot of sewing machines, they do let you change the needle position. I'm going to put this little black cardstock behind it. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. As you can tell, right now my needle is pretty much centered with that little break in the presser foot, and if I adjust my needle position I can move it one notch to the left or two notches to the left. So let's put it back in center, and my favorite way of doing this is one notch to the left. Let me come in even a little bit more. Okay, so if I get a black piece of cardstock where you could see it, let me lift this foot, put it back down. Now I like to position my cardstock directly in the center here of this the presser foot, and as you can see, the distance between here and the needle, that's going to give you a distance. If you run your paper constantly towards this little center on the foot, you'll get an even straight line around your pages that makes it look really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and do some stitching, and I got to do it looking through this camera, so bear with me. Let me move it up a little bit. I always like to start with the foot down. I'm sorry, the needle down. So we're just going to go through and keep that paper in that center space on my foot. I'm trying to look at the camera and the sewing machine at the same time. And then when you get to the end, when you get close to the end, I use the little knobby-do and operate it with the needle down. You want to lift your presser foot, turn the page, and I am off a little bit here. Sometimes it lines up perfectly, sometimes it doesn't. So as I go, I'm just going to get it back into alignment again. Alright, let me take this out. Now when you're taking your paper out, you want to go ahead and grab the thread and not just pull, because it may tear your paper. This is some pretty thick cardstock, but some of them are really thin, so go ahead and grab that, pull it, and then I cut it with my scissors. And then you can see I've got a real consistent, it's hard to do it at this angle, real consistent, do like this, real consistent straight line all the way through. Now another thing that I do, or when I first started that I did, it was, let me see if I can adjust this a bit. Okay, now the next thing that I always did, a lot of your top of your sewing machines has a metal plate. So I would take one of my little magnets. You know, we always use them in our albums. And then I would take my paper. This helped me out a little bit. And I would go ahead and line it up where it needs to be here. And then I would take my middle finger here and then take my pointers, excuse my fingers. I paint, glue, always scrubbing. They're always in bad shape. So I position it to keep this straight line here. Put my middle finger here and then my pointer finger on my paper. And then that would also help keep it in that straight line. Now when you push down, don't push down too hard on the paper because you want it to flow evenly. So that could be another way that you can keep it consistently straight, hopefully, when you're not trying to do it on camera. All right. Okay, hold on for 1 second. Okay, once you have your page completely stitched, this is how we deal with our little threads here. As you can tell, this is the front. So what we need to do is flip it over from the back, and you need to take that little thread, give it a little tug, and you see that loop that it's made here. You want to take that loop, that's this front thread, and pull that through to the back. And then what I do, I have, the cheap kind of glue stick. And sometimes I twist it, and then I use the glue stick to keep it in place, because if you have, glue with a little tip on it or whatever, it just takes forever to try and get that to stick down in place. Well, that is my tips and tricks for sewing around on your album pages. If you have any questions or anything else that you want to see that I've done in the past, just leave me a comment below. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.